Hello and welcome. We begin with South Africa. President Cyril Ramaphosa is heading to the United States, with a key meeting planned with President Donald Trump later this week. His mission is to counter false claims about South Africa, spread by Trump and his ally Elon Musk. But just before the visit, Musk's own AI chatbot has joined the debate, fact-checking misleading claims about Rhetoric. Over the weekend, Elon Musk shared a post on his social media platform X. He shared a message allegedly from a friend in South Africa, claiming that the country, particularly Johannesburg, is in total disarray. The post asserted that no traffic lights function in the city and that a loaf of bread costs $50. It also accused Black South Africans of corruption and violent crime, claims that sparked widespread outrage. In response, several users posted real-time photos and videos showing functional traffic signals and normal daily life. Interestingly, joining the fact-checking effort was Musk's own AI chatbot, Grok. Now, the bot contradicted the claims, stating that the average price of a loaf of bread in South Africa ranges from just $0.83 to $0.98. Now, Grok also found no credible evidence to support the widespread corruption claims made in the viral post. Now, this isn't the first time that Musk and Grok have faced controversy over South Africa. Earlier, Grok was criticized for bringing up claims of white genocide in unrelated conversations. Musk's company later attributed this issue as an unauthorized modification by an employee. Musk, who was born in South Africa, has repeatedly claimed that a white genocide is taking place there. These claims have been dismissed strongly by the South African government. Musk is also believed to be influencing President Trump, who has taken several tough measures against South Africa. Now, Trump has accused the South African government of land confiscation. In response, he cut aid, expelled the South African ambassador, and rolled out an asylum plan for white South Africans, granting them refugee status in the United States. The first group of around 50 South Africans has already arrived in the US. Trump has defended the move, insisting it's not based on race and that he would extend the same protection to Black South Africans if they faced similar conditions.
I think that from all evidence, the farmers in South Africa are being treated brutally, and it's been reported and nobody wants to cover it, but they happen to be white, and if they were black, I'd do the exact same thing. And we treat people very well when we see there's a genocide going on. So if it's a genocide, that's terrible, and I happen to believe it could very well be. South Africa's out of control, and it's been out of control for a long time, and the media doesn't report it. And I'm not looking for reporting because, believe me, it's easier for me not to do anything. It's a lot easier because I don't get nasty questions like that. But the fact is that we're about saving lives.
Immigration remains a cornerstone of Trump's agenda. While he has blocked asylum for people from other war-torn regions, his administration has fast-tracked applications from white South Africans. The South African government has criticized the criteria, insisting that white South Africans do not face systemic discrimination and do not qualify for refugee status. President Ramaphosa is expected to meet Trump on Wednesday. The high-stakes talks come after months of escalating tensions between the two countries. Will Ramaphosa counter Trump's claims at the White House? And will this high-stakes meeting further widen the rift between South Africa and the United States? Or will it bring it to a halt? Now, for more on this, we have with us Patrick Bond, who is a political economist, live from Johannesburg. Thank you for being with us, Patrick.
It's great to be with you, Alyson. Thanks.
Now, how do the comments from influential figures like Elon Musk and President Trump shape international perceptions of South Africa? And what are the potential diplomatic consequences?
It's so interesting because they are really, I think, deserving the status of laughingstock. And President Trump makes so many misstatements, but he's done this again and again, just as on other areas that South Africa is involved with, such as the BRICS. There's a real passion there to inflame racial tensions. And if you ask Grok.com whether its owner, Elon Musk, who was born in Pretoria and raised to some extent here in Johannesburg, and Trump and their continual charge of an Afrikaner genocide. This is what you get if you ask Grok.com. Is there an Afrikaner genocide? Quote, in sum, there is no reliable data or authoritative source supporting the existence of a genocide against Afrikaners. The narrative is largely driven by fringe groups and lacks substantiation, end quote. So what we're really seeing is this extraordinary divergence between rhetoric and reality, and coming now, just a day and a half before Trump and President Ramaphosa are due to meet in Washington. It's more like a kind of pressure tactic to create a frisson, and maybe that will lead, as you've hinted, to President Ramaphosa's cool, calm, sophisticated demeanor, a world-class negotiator for sure, calming down the debate and transcending this racial myth so that they can get into the substantive issues. Or it might be, if Trump is in a different mood, it might be a site where Ramaphosa would have to accuse back that the US is a site of racial tension, where the shooting of Black people by police remains a crisis. It was the crisis that caused Black Lives Matter and massive protests in the middle of COVID in 2020, and it hasn't been solved.
Right. And given the backlash against Musk's claims and Grok's contradictory response, how should South African officials and citizens respond to this misinformation from such high-profile voices?
Well, around the world, the response to what Elon Musk has done, not just rhetorically, but of course he's been in charge of cutting budgets, and USAID's cuts, about $64 billion worth, include our South African AIDS program. That's about 18% of the aid spending, plus the climate financing. There's over $1 billion in loans that have been cut. And then you have humanitarian aid in Africa, like food aid to Sudan. All of these cuts, plus withdrawing from the World Health Organization, withdrawing from the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, creating chaos in world trade and financial markets. To me, these do represent a site where South Africans can take the lead. They took the lead, the government, in accusing Israel of genocide in about a year and a half or so ago, in December 2023. And that's one of the sticking points, obviously. But could South Africa do the same, hosting the G20, potentially tabling the idea that maybe Donald Trump should be voted off the island? There should be a G19 in 2026, not hosted by Trump, maybe by Mexico, by Claudia Sheinbaum. That would be the fighting back, let's say, counterpoints that I think a bully like Trump needs to hear.
Right. And Trump's renewed defense of refugee status for white South Africans reignites an old debate. How might such statements affect racial discourse and bilateral relations between the US and South Africa? You have touched on some of the points there.
Well, I think the main thing about those 59 Afrikaners who have been accepted as the first tranche of a refugee program is that increasingly the media will be asking, are you really genuine farmers under threat of genocide? Now, many have been. Obviously, there are instances of rural crime. They're not nearly as high as they are in the city, and the rate at which Afrikaners are victimized is much lower than the general population. All the statistics suggest that. So it is, let's say, to some extent, a relief that even two of the major institutions that promote the let's say, allegation that Afrikaners are discriminated against, that is Afriforum and Solidarity, they reject the white genocide myth. But then the question is whether the little outpost of Orania, which is where Afrikaners have set up their own separate society, or affirmative action. And again, for Elon Musk, this is crucial. He wants Starlink to operate here. That's an internet satellite service. But he doesn't want the 30% black partnership that these regulations of investment equity require. Now, what will President Ramaphosa do to say, okay, it's just a myth? Your Grok will tell you that. And maybe we will at some point relax our investment regulations and really look at land reform. There hasn't been very much. But right now, put those issues aside and talk trade. And I think that's where Ramaphosa will probably have to be his most persuasive. And Trump knows that the trade, let's say, getting rid of AGOA, the Africa Growth and Opportunity Act, the concessions that give you a zero tariff, and having 25% on cars and steel and aluminium from South Africa, those will be painful for Ramaphosa, because his friends are in some of the biggest companies that are most adversely affected if those tariffs remain.
Thank you, Patrick, for being with us. As always, great to have you on the show.
Thank you.
At Firstpost, we are choosing to hold on to accuracy. That means we won't always be first. We may not get you your breaking alert. But what you will get is what we owe you, and that is the truth. Verified, checked, and cross-checked. We rely on sources and verified ones. After all, that's what separates a journalist from a loudspeaker. But sometimes even we miss a beat, and when we do, we will tell you. Like yesterday, we ran visuals from a registered news agency. That visual turned out to be fake, so we are taking accountability. And from now on, we will cite the source of every visual, every picture, every video that you see on Firstpost will have a source mentioned. That is our commitment to you. We will wait, we will verify, we will ask again, and only then will we tell you. No noise, no panic, just the facts. Because right now, that is what the country needs most.